So, with Game of Thrones wrapping things up this season, this leaves us with a bunch of burning questions when it comes to some of the most beloved characters of television history and what happens to them. So, we're going to be talking about Jon Snow today and what his fate means in the grand scheme of things. I cannot stress enough that there will be some major spoilers in this video. I'm going to pause for a few seconds and assume if you're still listening, you either don't care about spoilers or have watched the episode already. Okay, let's get to it. Jon Snow is a rather tragic character, having believed he was a bastard for most of his life. Rather late into the series, he finds out that he is actually the rightful king of the Seven Kingdoms. This causes some friction with his queen and lover, Daenerys Targaryen, who claims the throne is hers. Even though he tells her of his lineage and tries to reassure her that he doesn't want the throne, this leaves some underlying tension between the two. Due to this and several other factors, Daenerys then decides to massacre a large portion of the population of King's Landing. Even after their surrender, she does this using her dragon. This understandably shocks Jon as well as her advisor Tyrion Lannister, who then retires in protest. After the battle, Jon talks to the newly imprisoned Tyrion about what to do next. Striving to do what's right, he tearfully asks Daenerys what makes them qualified over other people to decide what's right and wrong. And Daenerys quite coldly tells him that no one else's opinion on the subject matters. They embrace, but Jon kills Daenerys in order to prevent a worldwide conquest from her, which is rather devastating to him for obvious reasons. After having a rather touchy moment with her dragon Drogon, and then being imprisoned for an unspecified length of time, Jon's fate is decided by the new king, Brandon Stark. He is then sentenced to serve in the Night's Watch, a rather ironic sentence as he had been a member for most of the series. He had previously found a loophole in his vows after dying and being resurrected. He was then released from said vows. As he journeys north to Castle Black, he is greeted by Tormund, Giantsbane, and Ghost, his old direwolf. The three of them journey north beyond the Wall with the remaining population of the wildlings. And after seeing a bit of grass poking through the snow, we see Jon Snow sporting a small smile, which for the usually stoic and dour Jon is basically a celebration. Now, I want to bring attention to a few things. Firstly, Jon Snow, being the reluctant king who holds no desire for the crown but strives to do the right thing and guide the kingdoms towards a better tomorrow, would have been a rather fitting end for him. However, I think the ending we got with him was better and more in line with the writing of the series, especially if you give some deeper thought to it. Jon Snow is a leader, a king without the title, somebody who earns respect bit by bit. He's someone that strives to do the right thing and suffers for it time after time after time, even dying at one point because of his beliefs. Being a king has never been his goal. Even when it was something thrusted upon him by others, he refused. His goal has always been to fight for the people and protect them from the greatest threats, whether it be the White Walkers or a Mad Queen. Bran, being an all-seeing being and arguably the wisest person in the entire world, sentenced Jon to exile as a part of the Night's Watch. I think Bran knew that long-term, this would be the path that would make Jon happiest. This is also expanded on a couple episodes prior with Tormund saying that he'd be happier in the north, which Jon did attest to saying that he wishes he was leaving with them. It's quite possible that Bran saw this interaction using his abilities and decided that's what would be best for Jon and agreeable with everyone else. The thing I want to theorize about now is what happens next. The show's over, the credits have rolled, so what are we left with? Well, I'd wager it's a dream of spring, and yes, I stole that from what the last book is supposed to be called. Jon heads north. We see grass poking through the snow. With the absence of the White Walkers, and more specifically the Night King, I think we can assume that the land north of the Wall might become something a little more habitable, and given time, might become something free from tyrants and kings. Something free from the Game of Thrones that lead the common folk to suffer because all the high lords and ladies want to sit in a special chair. And yes, I know I had to think this through myself and then ramble about it on the internet, and I'd argue there's still going to be a lot of people out there who are disappointed in the finale. The series doesn't make a habit of talking down to the audience, and so laid out pieces for us to figure out what would happen next, and I wanted to share my thoughts. Jon Snow is an incredible character who I would describe as a tragic hero. He may not be remembered in the history books, but for fans of the show, he'll always be remembered lovingly. And hey, besides, black was always his color anyway. I plan on doing videos for other characters in the series, and this channel will probably be heavily dedicated to Game of Thrones for the time being, and I look forward to it immensely. So don't forget to like and share, not to mention comment on who or what you'd like me to do a video on next. Oh yeah, and subscribe if you haven't already so you don't have to try and find the channel later on. And before I go, thanks for listening in, and have a fantastic rest of your day.